Welcome to the Kelly Cast. So I have a story to tell, and it just so happens to be my story. So this is an audio autobiography. Or maybe I should say it like this. I do have a story to tell, and I'm going to tell my story. Now! When I was a little baby, and I was a baby, and I had the small fingers and the small toes. Alright. Maybe not that way, all the way through, but every now and then, here and there, a little bit, you know. Yes, so I'm going to tell my story because I don't want anybody else to tell it. And I already know there's a few people out there that have tried to tell my story, and they're only telling it from a biased perspective. And a lot of it is just not true. It's just not accurate. It's just not both sides of the coin. You know, most people always want to tell you that one side of the coin. So, of course, it's going to be one-sided. But there's two sides to a coin. So I'm going to tell you both sides. So I figured the best way to tell my story is to just tell my story. Because I damn sure don't want anybody else telling it. And I can tell already, just from the things that I've heard other people say, they're going to get it twisted. And I don't want my story twisted. I just don't. Who does? So the best way to tell your story, so it's not twisted, is to just tell it your damn self. TIYDS. So I'm going to start from the beginning. For this part, I'm going to call my mom. Since it's the beginning, she was there from day one. I think this would be good coming from her. I'm going to have my mom help me out, so I'm going to give her a call. Yes, I have a rotary dial phone, okay? But to balance that out, I also have solar panels.
Hey,
Hey, Mom.
how you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm on my tablet now.
Oh, and you get savvy with technology? How you just switched over like that? Look at you. High five yourself for me. Hey, Mom. Would you mind telling my birth story? I don't think Evan's heard it, and I don't think I am as accurate as you are.
Oh, okay.
I just want to stop here for a second and help the listeners understand who Eben is. That is my younger brother. He's on the call by way of my mom's tablet. She might mention him one or two other times throughout this story, just so you know who that is whenever my mom mentions that name. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I was pregnant with you. So you were supposed to be born on August 28th, which is oddly enough Jada's birthday. But you were late. So the day I went into labor was September 11th. And I remember when I went into labor, because your dad used to like to go out after dinner. After he watched Gomer Pyle and Andy Griffith, then he would get dressed and go out.
Mm.
So this particular day, he was getting ready to go out, and I said, okay. I said, no, I just had my show. And you know what that is. That's that. Basically, it's when the plug from the birth canal comes out. Oh. And anytime after that, the water can break. So it's like, okay, so the shop. So we called Chief, and so he came and got me, and they were like, okay, so where you want to go? And I said, I want to go to Mason, because I felt like I needed to buy some more baby stuff.
Okay.
So we're walking around the store, and I'm in labor, so I'm bending over sometime, and finally your grandfather was like, oh no, that's it. I'm taking you to the hospital, because I wanted to finish shopping. So they took me to the hospital, and you were born at like 10 to 1, so it was after midnight. So I said, oh, so his birthday's going to be on the 12th, because he said, no, some kind of international thing with babies. It's not the next day till 1 o'clock, which didn't make no sense to me. I think the doctor just wanted you to be born on the 11th. I never heard that before from anybody's mouth. Ever.
Maybe there's some type of quota he needed to meet by the 11th.
I don't know. Anyway, so I had you,
wow.
And you weighed 6 pounds, 8 ounces, and all of you were 21 inches long. Even Evan, but Evan weighed more than everybody. He weighed like 8 pounds, 10 ounces. So you know, they showed you to me, and they took you away and put you in the nursery. Next morning, they come and they tell me, they didn't even know what you had. I don't even know what they said, but anyway, you were sick, and they weren't going to be bringing you to me. So it turns out you were in the hospital a total of 3 months before you came home. All your baby clothes I had bought, because I didn't know, I was buying size 0. They were all too little. So you wore them like one time. So most of your baby clothes went to your Aunt Rose, because she had Peaches after I had you.
What about
Son John?
Oh, that's Cheryl's son.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Kelly are the same age. They were in incubators together. Yeah. So me and Cheryl would meet, and we'd stand at the window, because they didn't let us in then, and just cry and then laugh and talk and cry and laugh and talk some more. Yep. So during that 3-month period, they called us twice and told us to come right away, because they didn't expect you to live past 24 hours. One of those occasions, I can't remember if the first time they called us or the second time. I think it's the first time. Your dad was working at CERN's on 12th, and I think that's Chestnut, where it was. And I was just getting ready to, like, you know, I had gotten dressed, like, apparently getting ready to walk out the door, and your father was at the door. And I was like, how'd you get here so fast? He said he ran. He said he ran all the way from 12th and Chestnut to 4th and Ash. We were living on the east side. And then I don't remember how we got to the hospital from there. I don't know how we got, because we still didn't have a car. And
wow?
Yeah.
Was it a cab? You walked?
I don't remember. But we went to the hospital. They still wouldn't let us, you know, into the nursery. We had to stand at the window and watch. And then they called us one more time. Not gonna make it. You need to get here right away. But you made it, and every time I would take you to the doctor, he would say, I never thought his lungs would sound this good. Every time. Yep. And found out later that you were born with double pneumonia.
Wow.
At the time, they never said what it was. We were just guessing. We thought cystic fibrosis or something. And I found out years, later that it's not uncommon for babies to be born with pneumonia, but I never heard of that. And you also had 2 hernias. They said you weren't in any pain or anything, but to just wait till you were 8 months old or so to get it fixed.
Wow.
Then when you were about 9 months old, you went back into the hospital to have the hernia in your groin fixed.
Whoa.
Yeah. Where I had to not only wash your diapers, then I had to boil them, and I had to hang them outside.
Wow. I was just
I'm
jacked up.
steady. Little baby.
Oh, man. I was that bad?
I watched them.
Just for sterilization, right?
Oh, yeah, the doctor told me to boil them and then to hang them in the sun because the sun is the natural sterilizer.
Exactly. That's why I try to get a little piece on me every day.
That's your birth story.
Wow. All right. Part 1 of my story. I had not one, but 2 pneumonias? What? Damn, I had pneumonia. As an infant, that was like COVID before COVID. That's what I had. Whew, if pneumonia is that bad, imagine what old pneumonia would do to you. So technically, I'm not supposed to be here today. Like 2 times, I was almost not here. And I'm here. I am so grateful. I am so grateful. So this ties into why I ended up doing stand-up comedy later in life. And we'll get into that on another episode. I am going to tell my story literally from stage to stage to stage. You know, each stage of life. As much as I can remember as far as my toddler years and my, preteen years. I'll be getting help from my dad and my mom, which I am so thankful. Thank you, God, for having them still in my life and me being theirs and we can communicate freely. So I'm so grateful for that. I also want to shout out the people that were brought up throughout this podcast right quick. First and foremost, I want to thank you, Mom, for telling that story. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. I love you. And what my mom would normally say is, I love you more. I'm trying to imitate her voice, but she sounds something like that. I love you more. Shout out to my daughter, Jada. I didn't know that I was originally supposed to be born on the day that my daughter was born on. Crazy, huh? How things come full circle sometimes. I remember a funny story with my daughter. We were on a roller coaster. I had on these shades. I was being cool dad with these shades on. Just to fly. And this roller coaster had so many twists and turns and loops and real super hard jerking movements. By the time we got to the end of the ride, my glasses were missing a lens and they were somehow bent and twisted. It was kind of I was wearing them slanted, covering one eye. The eye with the missing lens was the eye that was covered. And I don't know how they got that way. It's just, I guess, from that bumpy roller coaster ride. And Jada turned and looked at me and she lost it. She laughed literally for the rest of the day about that. For the rest of the day, she laughed about how that roller coaster kicked my ass and broke my cool daddy shades. We had, of course, my brother Eben. That's my younger brother, and you probably heard him snickering and laughing at the part when my mom was telling how she had to disinfect and boil and hang and burn and do all this extra steps to so I can wear my diapers again, because these were the washable diapers. Remember, this is way back, so they had washable diapers back then. I don't even know if that exists today. So that was my younger brother Evan laughing at me and commenting there. He brought up our cousin Rasan Jong, who I remember popping and breakdancing with back in the day at my grandmother's restaurant. Shout out to Chris's Supper Club and the Supper Club crew, 940 West 4th Street, the only place in town you come across town to get down. Now that was the slogan that my dad came up with, which they used for Christian Supper Club radio commercials. And shout out to my cousin Cheryl. She's Rasan's mom. Her and my mom had some, heartfelt one-on-one times together. And I'm pretty sure there was a lot of praying going on. I can, when my mom tells me that, I feel it. To this day, to this very day. Also, my Aunt Rose was mentioned, along with her daughter, my cousin Peaches. Now, my Aunt Rose loved to watch me eat donuts because I would shove a whole donut in my mouth. She used to take me to Mighty Fine Donuts, and we get home from the donut shop. I would shove a whole donut in my mouth, the entire donut, and just chew it down until it's gone. Then repeat. And this is when I was maybe 3, 4, or 5 years old, around that age. I guess she was preparing me for a donut eating contest. I never got into a contest eating donuts, Aunt Rose, just so you know. But thanks for the training. Okay, so apparently Peaches got a chance to wear my clothes more than I did. I'm just wearing them once and on to her. So she got the hand-me-downs. Now, if any of Peach's friends out there that's wondering why she was dressing like a little baby boy back in the day, I'm the reason why. Bam! And I can't forget my granddad, Chief. Shout out to Chief for getting Mom to the hospital. And really just for being my granddad, married to my grandma. I believe he died when I was 2. So I never got a chance to really get to know him, but he was getting to know me, from what I'm told. He held me a lot. So he knew me. And for the record, just so you know, I'm helping carry the family torch. Trying to do what I do. Something. And also, shout out to my dad. Sorry about making you run so fast from 12th to the 4th. And it was kind of like a false alarm, but thanks for doing that. I hope you had those sneakers, because back in those days, it seemed like all they wore was shoes. Or boots. Church shoes or boots. So, I hope that was, you had on some sneakers. What is some Pro Kids? Had on some Pro Kids, some Chucks. I even think back then they had a sneaker that had sneaker written on the side. That's all it said. It said sneaker. It was a white shoe with black letters. It said sneaker. Actually, they called them tennis shoes. I guess because you only played tennis with them on. How you gonna play kickball with tennis shoes? You would probably get beat up. Then you can't run because you're not wearing running shoes. You have on tennis shoes. All right. I gotta put this stuff down. This episode has been brought to you by the Hybrid Wedding Crashers. When you want to crash a wedding in a pandemic, blaze Wedding Crashers and then sit your ass down somewhere. Thank you for listening to the Kelly Cast.